Hello everyone, this is Gage from Gundorian Smith, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys another Third Age Reforged on a multiplayer battle replay. And as you can see that the sun is now setting over the Pelennor fields in front of Mist Tirith, of course. You can see that there are 6 armies about to clash. This is a nice good versus evil, all Elven armies versus all Misty Mountains armies. So it's a nice like elves versus goblins type of battle. And this one I should say is, well, for being a 3 versus 3, it is very short, and that is because obviously playing as Misty, all of these 3 players are going to rush, which actually causes some real difficulties for the Elven armies. Something that I have noticed is that it is quite difficult for the elves to actually beat the Misty Mountains, just because the elves can get so easily surrounded, which is why I have gone for Linden, because they have a lot more cheaper type of units, and they can field a lot of javelins, because archers are not going to be a huge help against the Misty Mountains, because of the fact that they are going to rush, you won't actually be able to fire your arrows for very long. So that is why I actually have brought 0 archers and instead just a bunch of javelins in. So I am actually going to try to counter rush because there's really no point delaying the inevitable. So without any further ado, we will go ahead and start the army compositions, beginning way up here with Engsfitz commanding another army of Linden. He's got 3 units of the Forlindon pikemen, 3 units of Forlindon archers, so he actually does have a number of archers. And he's got a couple units of, he's actually got 1 more unit of Forlindon pikemen, so 4 units, which is the unit cap of those pikemen. A nice cheap pike unit. It's definitely going to help a lot against the Misty Mountains. However, against something like the Heavy Goblin Spears, who can just push straight through them, is going to be very difficult to beat. He's also got like 3 units of the Harlandon infantry, which is just a standard sword and shield infantry. Definitely going to be able to outskill the Heavy Goblin infantry, but just the sheer amount of numbers of the Goblin infantry is going to be very tough for them to take out. He's also got a couple units of Forlindon Marines. He's got 3 units of Forlindon Marines and 2 units of the Mithlond Marines back here, so again, a lot of javelins. He's also got 1 unit of the Mithlond Swordmasters and 1 unit of the Noldoran Guard, which is where his general is. Now, these guys are going to be very key to both Linden armies today, because not only do they have a lot of defense, which means they're going to be able to hold against a lot of the Misty Mountains units, but they also actually inspire the units around him, which is definitely very good, because the Misty Mountains can bring an absolute ton of fear-inspiring units, which can prove very difficult even for the elves. You can see a couple more units of Forlindon Marines here on his flank. Obviously, he's preparing to get just completely surrounded just because of his kind of formation. He also has 1 unit of the Noldoran Horse Lords way back somewhere. Yeah, right there. Looks like, I think he might also have a couple units of the Forlindon Scouts, which is a low-tier cavalry unit, but it can't hide anywhere, so it can serve its purpose quite well. Over here we can go to my army. You can see my troops are already beginning to move forward to try to counter-rush the enemy. We've got 1 unit of the Noldoran Horse Lords for my generally, obviously a very expensive high-tier knight unit, going to do very well. However, against wards they will lose, so I'm going to have to use these guys very conservatively. And the real way I was going to try to deal with the wards was with my javelins, and with my pikes. I've got a ton of pikes, but I was going to try to deal with them with my javelins, because most of my javelins actually do pull out spears in melee. I actually had thought that the Mithlond Marines pulled out spears like their Forlindon counterparts, but they actually do not. They actually pull out swords, and you are going to see that cost me very dearly later in the battle. But anyway, I've got a couple units of Mithlond Marines on either flank. In my front line, I've got 3 units of Forlindon Marines, being backed by 4 units of Harlandon Infantry. On the other side, I've got another unit of Harlandon Infantry, so I do have the full unit cap of 6 units of them. Behind them on either flank, I also have a couple units of Noldoran Guard to protect my flanks, because the flanks is obviously where I'm going to be getting surrounded the most, and that is definitely going to be where the most fear-inspiring units are as well, so the Noldoran Guard should help my units be able to hold their ground for a little bit longer. Backing up my Harlandon Infantry and Marines, I've got 3 units of the Forlindon Pikemen, who should do quite well, not only in the front lines, but also because they are in the back lines. It will prevent a lot of the warriors from rear-charging my lines. And behind them, I have a single unit of the Mithlond Swordmasters, who also should do quite well. So that is going to pretty much do it for my army comp, so I will now go over to the 3rd and final Elven army, which is being commanded by Lengo, who is actually going to be playing the Elves of Lorien. In his front line, he's got a couple units of Sylvan Staff Masters. He's got 1 unit of the Edeltir, which is a body-piercing archer unit. These guys are a little bit OP at the moment, because you can bring 3 of them before the price increase, and they're only 600 florins. Well, I think I already said that they're body piercing, so they can really do a lot of work. They're a tad OP, so we did actually have the cap at 1. I think that was the only rule. In addition to this, he's got, I think, like 3 or 4 units of the Sylvan Spears, which is just a low-tier Elven Spear unit. However, they do have like 9 attack and like 19 defense or something, so they can do quite well. However, they are very low numbers, and as you can see, he has spread them quite thin, which against the large amount of goblins out there, along with trolls, it's going to be very difficult for him to hold his line. He's also got a couple units of the Lorien axes, 2 units of Lorien spears, and 2 units of Lorien warriors. He also has a couple units of Sindar blade masters and a couple units of Mathar Elasgelen, who should do quite well against the heavily armored units. In addition to this, he has 1 unit of the Lorien Mounted Company, which is where his general is. So we can now go over here to the first of the Misty Mountains armies, that being Dark Elven King. For his general's unit, he has got 1 unit of the Goblin King's bodyguards, which is a nice bodyguard unit. He's got 2 units of cave trolls and 2 units of mountain trolls, so a huge amount of trolls. However, because Lorien does have a good amount of AP, they should do better against trolls than, say, Linden. Linden does have javelins, but they don't have a ton of melee AP. In addition to this, he's got a couple units of Warg Riders, which will, in melee, be able to far outclass the Lorien Mounted Company, because the Mounted Company are, of course, Lancers. He's got 4 units of Heavy Goblin Infantry, 2 on either side. His front line consists of 4 units of Heavy Goblin Halberds. He's also got a couple hidden units, I assume some things like maybe Goblin Infantry, and I do know that he actually also has some Blackback Mountain Berserkers around here as well. So for the middle army, we can go ahead and see that it is being commanded by Spogus. He's got the full 6 units of Heavy Goblin Infantry for his main line. He's also got like 3 or 4 units of Heavy Goblin Spears, who are AP. However, against the Linden, who are lightly armored, the AP isn't going to do a great deal of damage. However, just because of the fact that they can do shield wall pushes very effectively, it is going to be very difficult for me to deal with. He's also got a couple units of Mountain Trolls, 2 units of Warg Riders, and 1 unit of Bolg's Champions. In addition to this, he's got 2 units of the Black Urks of the Mountain, and while there are 253 strong men in the unit, they actually are also fear-inspiring and have very nice stats, so they're a very, very cost-effective unit. However, they are pretty expensive, and you can only bring 2 of them before the price increase. And way back here you can see he's got 3 units of the Goblin Archers, who, while they are low tier, are going to be able to do a lot of damage to my troops just because Linden is so lightly armored. He also has his own unit of Blackback Mountain Berserkers hidden around here somewhere. And that will pretty much do it for his army, I believe. He may have some other hidden units. Something that I did notice that I was surprised by is that none of these armies really did bring the, what are they called? White Urk Fearmongers, something like that. They're a very, very good fear-inspiring halberd unit. But anyway, the last army is being commanded by Steph. He's got a couple units of Warg Riders as well as 1 unit of Bolg's Champions. He's got the full 6 units of Heavy Goblin Infantry, 3 units of Goblin Archers, some Blackback Mountain Berserkers, which is where his general is, 2 units of the Black Urks of the Mountain, and 2 units of Mountain Trolls. So a ton of goblins today. So without any further ado, we can go ahead and start the battle off. Obviously, it's going to be going very quickly. I believe it starts off the quickest in the center, just because of the fact that I am counter-rushing Spogus. But anyway, we can go ahead and start it. Well, I do not want it 2 times. I might actually put it a little bit slow, just because, like I said, it does go pretty quickly. Unfortunately, I was trying to get my troops into a better position, but they're having some difficulties doing so, which is going to allow Spogus a lot of time to begin to move forward with his troops. I was attempting to get a unit of Forlorn Marines to fire at these trolls, but we'll just have to see if they do actually if they are able to get that off. You can see the Warg Riders going around my flanks. Again, that is inevitable, and I'm not going to really be able to stop that very easily. I did get one javelin volley off into those trolls before I had to retreat my men, and unfortunately for these Harlandon infantry, they're going to get charged directly by these mountain trolls, which is going to do a huge amount of damage. And already you can see that the Misty Mountains forces are starting to spread out, attempting to surround my forces. So I'm just going to try to stop that as best as I can. I'm also trying to get my Noldoran Horse Lords behind enemy lines. Over here you can see Steph also marching forward towards the Engsfitz's forces. However, Engsfitz is able to fire his arrows for quite some time because he has deployed a lot further back, which is definitely a good strategy. And you can see Dark Elven King's forces also moving forward. He's got a ton of trolls, which is going to prove very troublesome for Lengo to try to deal with. But over here you can see, well, you're about to see the first wave of goblins clash against my high-tier Elven units, the Harlandon Infantry, Noldoran Guard, and Mithlond Marines trying to hold back the enemies. I'm sending forward a unit of Forlandon Marines to try to throw javelins at some things like the Bolg's Champions or even Warg Riders. And I'm fine with them actually getting charged because they were able to get a volley off, and because they are spearmen, even against a knight unit like the Bolg's Champions, my Forlandon Marines should do okay. You can see they took a ton of losses from that first charge. But once they are able to get their spears up, they should not do horrible. Elsewhere, though, you can see a lot of my front line has been committed already. Unfortunately, I did blob up a lot, and this is going to allow for a lot of the arrows of the goblin archers to hit their marks. You can see the goblins just rushing forward. These heavy goblin spears in particular are proving to be quite a nuisance. You can see he's also rear charging some of my units here, actually breaking a unit of Harlandon infantry. So already you can see the fear-inspiring units and just the sheer amount of numbers starting to overwhelm my poor forces. I'm trying to get a unit of Mythlon Marines out to the flank to throw their javelins. There's also some black Urks of the mountain, or no, what are they called? The well, I forgot. But anyway, I was able to route this front, this unit of goblin infantry. So I am actually going to be free to move some more of my forces around here, especially here in the center where I am losing this. Yes, this is where they are. So not only were the fear-inspiring black Urks of the mountains there, but also the Blackback Mountain Berserkers, who are also fear-inspiring. So while I am starting to lose in the center, I have kind of pulled it back a little bit on that side. You can see I'm starting to rush some more units elsewhere. Unfortunately for my Noldoran Horse Lords, they're just getting peppered down by all 3 units of the Goblin Infantry, and this is really a bad mistake by me. Allowing my Knight unit like that to get cycle charged so much really was a huge, huge mistake. Or allowing my Noldoran Horse Lords to get shot so much was a huge mistake. However, they are, as you're seeing right now, able to break a number of the enemy forces. But we can now move elsewhere, because you can see that Engsvitz is starting to be attacked. Engsvitz, being able to fire for a lot longer, actually has been able to do a lot of damage to his enemies so far. The trolls, though, are just the hardest thing to deal with, definitely by far, at least at the moment. His Frontline Marines doing a great deal of damage to Steph's forces. Unfortunately for Steph, he's kind of advancing in waves, which is going to be very... which is going to make it very hard for him to beat Engsvitz. Warg Riders charging into Frontline Marines is not going to be very good for them, because the Frontline Marines are, of course, spearmen, and there actually are some Frontline pikemen coming up to help out these Frontline Marines. However, they're going to turn away and instead go after these heavy goblin infantry. But we can go now over here to Lango and Dark Elven King. You can see the sheer amount of numbers of the goblin infantry is pushing through the Sylvan Spears a little bit here. Also, the trolls were just able to bust through all of these lines of Lango's forces, going straight into those spearmen. You can see Dark Elven King is also flanking with some Blackback Mountain Berserkers. So already the elves are struggling very, very heavily. He's having to commit a lot of his reserves already. You can see his units of javelins coming out of hiding. But we can go back over to my side for now. So I am starting to get surrounded, however. I was able to stop these surrounded by these Black Urks with my Noldoran Guard. The wargs are still proving to be super, super annoying. My Noldoran Horse Lord is now down to 6. Really not looking too good for me. You can also see, though, that on this side, my Noldoran Guard backing up some Harlandon infantry are holding quite well against the Blackbacks and the Heavy Goblin Spears. However, over here, this unit of Mythlon Marines is starting to fall to the Heavy Goblin Spears. The Bulk's champions are still also running around, but most of the wargs have been taken out except for that one unit. And I have lost half of my men. Oof, yeah, it's really just not looking too good for my forces at the moment. I think, yeah, I'm trying to flank around with some Frontline pikemen, but unfortunately for them, it is just going to cause them to get shot like crazy. But I really don't have much of a choice anyway, because, again, you're going to see a consequence of me losing my Noldoran Horse Lord so early is that I'm not going to be able to charge down these Goblin Archers at all, which is going to allow them to fire for a long time and just get a huge amount of kills. I'm also trying to pull back some Frontline Marines to fire into this huge blob of goblins. My Noldoran Guard are somewhat holding against these Blackback Mountain Berserkers, but just because the Blackback Mountain Berserkers are so elite, they are starting to struggle quite heavily. You can see a lot of routing going on. We'll go over here to Lengo again. Oh yeah, poor Lengo. Already you can see just the sheer amount of numbers is just proving so difficult for the elves to actually be able to deal with. You can see on the flanks the elves are actually doing okay, but in the center where all the trolls are, it's just proving just so hard for him to actually do anything. However, you can see these Blackback Mountain Berserkers of Dark Elven King that he had actually originally sent out to flank. He must have lost Micro on them because they were just getting shot to pieces by not only the Edeltirith but also by the Maethar Elas Galen. So he lost a very important unit right there. However, it doesn't really seem like he's going to have to worry about that at all, because you can see the infantry fight, for the most part, is going very much in his favor. And unfortunately, the stakes of Lengo is actually preventing his own cavalry to recharge the goblins. And over here, I'm trying to target the blackbacks as well as this huge blob of right here of goblin infantry. And I'm going to actually attempt to use these Noldoran Guard to push past and silence some of those archers. However, it's going to prove very bad for them. And for the most part, I actually have won this infantry fight. There's only some black orcs and a few units of heavy goblin infantry left over here. However, just the archers are just proving such a proving to be such an annoyance, as well as the Bolg's champions, who are still somewhere around here. There's still 17 of them, and they're going to be able to still do a huge amount of damage, unfortunately. I'm trying to chase after them with some Forlondon Marines, but it's not going to be very effective. And again, my Horse Lords now down to 6 aren't going to be able to do too much. And over here, there are still 80 of the Blackback Mountain Berserkers. Noldoran Guard, I am going to try to go after the archers with. And over there on that flank, I am starting to, well, I'm about to lose. We'll take a look at what's going on with Engsvitz, though. Again, he is being outflanked, but because of the fact that Steph really advanced in waves, it actually is proving to be a much closer fight over here with Engsvitz, just because of the fact that Steph kind of lost a little bit of micro. And there goes my general, which is going to prove just horrible for me, because my units that are kind of low on numbers and have been fighting the whole time are going to begin to rout, which is really a bad thing. So yeah, Engsvitz definitely doing the best out of the Elven players so far. Steph is just having a very difficult time, but again, that is really just down to the fact that he did not rush all of his units forward at once, but rather advanced in waves. So at this point, I've basically abandoned the front line here. I've just lost so many troops that I'm just going to try to rush forward and silence these archers, even though it's really not looking too good for me, because while I was able to take out most of his infantry, I've lost just so much of my own in return. I'm trying to get my javelins to throw their payloads into these blackbacks, but and then run them away because I don't want to lose them, because this unit of blackbacks is going to probably be my downfall. Over here you can see that Spogus is pretty much beaten all of my infantry. And over here, my second unit of Noldoran Guard, I tried to rush forward at these archers, and even though they do have a lot of armor, which is something that isn't really too common with the Elves of Linden, just being shot by 600 arrows, actually more like 750 arrows at one time, is going to just do a huge amount of damage. However, I was able to take out the generals you saw there. But it's just proving so difficult right now. It's going to be, I think it's going to be very difficult for the elves in general to beat the Misty Mountains, because the Misty Mountains is definitely a very strong faction. Definitely one of their bonuses is just the sheer amount of fear-inspiring units that they can bring to the field. I mean, they've got so many fear-inspiring units. Ooh, an Earth's rear charge right there by the Lord Master Company, actually routing that unit of halberds. Going to free up some of Lango's infantry, which is definitely going to be sorely needed. Oh yeah, that whole flank, Lango's pretty much lost. However, the War Riders coming right behind the Lord Master Company, going to do a big amount of damage to them. Oh yeah, Dark Elven King is really starting to kind of pull back around here just because of his sheer amount of numbers. Staff Master's trying to hold back that Goblin infantry. And over here you can see my small pile of elves trying to force their way through these archers. I'm trying to get some routes, because now that both of our generals have fallen, these low-tier archers are probably going to rout. And this is a big mistake by me, a micro mistake, accidentally throwing my javelins into these goblin infantry. I mean, sure, it is going to cause them to rout, but I really am running low on javelins here, which is unfortunate, because I have to use them against these blackbacks, who are still at 66. And really, just the fact there are 66 blackbacks left and so many archers, I think will probably be my downfall, especially because of the fact that my general has fallen, which has caused a lot of my units to rout. See, my 4 London Marines basically out of ammo now. I just left them there to try to do their best to slow down these Blackback Mountain Berserkers. Actually, 35 of my other 4 London Marines had come back from riding, so I'm going to try to get back here and throw the javelins at them. But again, it's looking very close over here between Spogus and I. But again, I think my biggest mistake, I've definitely made a lot of mistakes this battle, but my biggest one was losing my Noldoran Horse Lord so early on. But you can see that Engsvitz actually has done a very excellent job against the Orcs of Misty Mountains from Steph. It is still definitely looking close, especially because the Goblin Archers are not going to be committed into melee. However, a lot of Steph's forces have fallen, and especially because of the fact that these Noldoran Horse Lords are rear charging a lot of the units. It looks like Engsvitz may be able to pull this out. Yeah, actually those blackbacks routing, which is going to free up a ton of his infantry. And there goes Lengo's general, which is pretty much going to be the end of Lorian's forces. No, actually take it back. Actually still does have quite a few units left over. Dark Elven King does have a ton of trolls. Oof, yeah, but these spears are probably going to rout from that. Goblin King's bodyguard were committed to the fight over here. The last of his staff masters are going to be cut down. Oh yeah, there's still just a lot of trolls and still a pretty large amount of wargs. And because Dark Elven King's general is still alive, a lot of these goblins will actually return to the fight. You can see some halberds actually already coming back. Ooh, a few of the wargs actually getting impaled by the stakes right there. Oh yeah, it's actually Lengo is doing pretty good over here. I thought, yeah, he's actually starting to turn things around over there, despite his general having fallen. However, over here, I was able to defeat one unit of the goblin archers. The blackbacks at 37 now, but my forces, just having fought for so long, are really starting to slow down here. I'm trying to commit them against this other unit of archers and heavy goblin spears, just to try to break them, and then somehow try to deal with these blackbacks. But again, it's just going to be so difficult for my forces. My 60 Nildoran Guard are really going to have to try to turn it around. And there goes Steph's general, which is probably going to allow Engsfitz to defeat the rest of his forces. Yeah, you can see a lot of routing, and the archers wavering actually. Yeah, just a huge amount of goblins here. It was really fun to play. Obviously, I'm not going to say who ends up winning, but still, I just made so many mistakes, so many mistakes. Oh, and the sheer amount of trolls that Dark Elven King has remaining is just beating down the last of Lengo's forces. You can see, while he did originally have a lot of units left, just the fact that Dark Elven King saved his trolls, or so many of his trolls actually had survived this long, is just going to mean the complete destruction of the rest of Lorian's infantry, because the trolls being supported by even a few units of goblins like this is going to do a ton of damage. The poor Lorian warriors are just getting beat down right now. Still able to take out a few. The AP of the Lorian warriors showing right there. But again, it's looking very grim over here, especially with the advance of some more goblin units. Yeah, it looks like Lengo's pretty much done for now. Looks like he's just got a few staff masters, some Edeltirth, and a couple units of... Oh, take it back. Those Lorian warriors are all dead now and routing. Yeah, just very, very unfortunate right there. Those trolls really proving their worth. And over here you can see I was carving my way through these goblin archers. I was trying to slow down these blackbacks with my Mithlon swordmasters. However, with the loss of my general and because of these units are fear-inspiring, my Mithlon swordmasters are going to instantaneously rout, which is pretty much going to be the end of my forces, because that will allow both these goblin infantry and these blackback mountain berserkers free to recharge the last of my few troops. My Nildoran Guard will fight to the end, but the things like the Forlondon pikemen and those few remaining Harlandon infantry will rout, which is very unfortunate. It was a very close fight, very, very close fight between me and Spogus, but I just really made some very, very unfortunate mistakes that really cost me a lot of expensive units. The biggest mistake was definitely losing my Nildoran horse lords to those archers. Over here, though, it looks like all that Steph actually has left is a few units of goblin archers, yeah, and his blackback mountain berserkers. So while it is definitely close over here, I think that Engsfitz probably will be able to pull out a victory, just because the goblin archers are pretty low tier, and because his general is still alive. And unfortunately, I think I might have been able to pull off a victory against who is Spogus over here if I had kept my general alive. But again, it just goes down to the fact that I lost my horse lords, which was my general's bodyguard unit, so early on. And over here, you can see the last of Lengo's forces being beat down by trolls, which will free up Dark Elven King to go after me if any of my troops happen to still be alive, and then maybe after Engsfitz if any of his are still remaining as well. And yes, you can now see that the last of my Nildoran Guard, 15 remaining, are being cut down by the Heavy Goblin Spears, Archers, and Blackback Mountain Berserkers. But again, it's a very, very close fight between myself and Spogus. This is really all he has left. And 15 Noldoran Guard against low-tier Goblin Archers will actually do okay. They will do okay. Look at a few kills before going down. Only 11 left actually now. But yes, very close fight. Very close fight. Can now go over to see what's going on with Engsfits. Goblin Archers who are shaken trying to take out the last of these Fallen Marines. While there are still 26 Blackback Mountain Berserkers. Blackback Mountain Berserkers are super strong in the current patch, which is as it should be. They're a very expensive unit, and you can only bring one before the price increase. However, the last of Engsfits' cavalry actually just went down to some Goblin Archers who are still firing, and these Harlandon infantry are now getting shot in the back, so their shields are not going to be of any help to them, and because they're lightly armored, they are going to take a lot of losses from that. Ooh, that's really turning things to be a lot closer than they might have been otherwise. Some Farlandon archers going to easily outmatch these Goblin Archers, despite being very low in number. I think Engsfits also has some Noldoran Guard around here somewhere. Yeah, they're in here. Are they? Yes, they are. That is his where his general is. His general has surprisingly not fallen despite having fought pretty much the whole battle. And Lango's forces have all been defeated, and all of my forces are all but dealt with as well. I think I've just got like, oh, that might have been the last one right there. Yep, that was the last Noldoran Guard. We got there just in time to see the last one die. There is still one Bolg champion, or one of Bolg's champions remaining. And this is all that is left of Spogus' army after fighting mine. Apologies for that. Oh, so many dead elves and goblins. A very horrendous battle here. Oh, but see, Steph, because he lost his general, you can see a ton of his units routing, which is really unfortunate, because if he hadn't lost his general, he probably would have been able to beat Engsfits, because you can see Engsfits does not have a lot of units left anyway. He's only got some Farlandon archers and a few like scattered remnants of units. But you can see, yeah, just the loss of the general gonna make these Goblin Archers waver and then instantly rout. So that is pretty much going to be the last of Steph's forces. I think he still has maybe like a few Blackback Mountain Berserkers, but I think they might have finally been taken out. Yeah, there's only 4 left. Oh. Yep. So it looks like Engsfits was the only victorious elf against his enemy so far, but we'll have to see if he does actually have enough to face down the remaining goblins. Spogus, like I said before, doesn't have very many units left. He's still got 24 blackbacks though, and those guys, ooh, those are deadly. And some archers and a few goblin spears, but Dark Elven King was probably the most efficient at taking out the elven armies. He still took a ton of losses, but again, he does have the most goblins remaining. He still also has all 4 units of trolls, it looks like. No, maybe not. Yeah, maybe only like 3 units of trolls. Obviously, they have all taken a lot of losses, but still. And he also still has 2 units of the, he still has 2 Blackback Mountain Berserkers as well. So I think I will probably go ahead and speed it up for now, because all that's left is for Engsfits to kill the rest of Steph's forces and then try to advance upon the rest of the goblins. You can see he is doing so now. Actually, Steph's archers returning to the battle now, but again, being shaken, they're probably just going to rout as soon as they get into combat. Oh, but they might actually get a nice rear charge in these Farlandon archers. No, looks like they're turning about. Oh, that's good. Yep, they're wavering. As soon as they get caught in melee, they're going to rout. We'll see. Oh, maybe not. Oh, they're actually still holding on. They're wavering. No, they're actually. I thought they would. I thought they would instantly rout. They might have if the Farlandon archers were fighting against them, but at the moment they're still going to be fighting. But they will be. But they will get cut down pretty quickly here. And the Farlandon archers coming forward are going to support the last of Engsfits' forces. I think I can go ahead and put up to regular speed for now. Percentage is 98 to 88. So again, pretty close battle. And there go the Goblin Archers. So I'll go ahead and put it up to 2 times for now. as Engsfitz kills the last 2 of those blackbacks. Yep, and there we go. Engsfitz was able to defeat Steph, but you can see that Dark Elven King's forces, as well as the last of Spogus' forces, are marching over to meet the remaining Linden Elves. Oh, we might see a cav charge here. Yep, some Warg Riders going to go straight into the Forland archers. Going to do a pretty nice amount of damage to them. Oh, no, I take it back. Oh, they routed. Okay, that's interesting. Warg's just instantly routing. Oh, but here come the trolls, man. The trolls against the just against the remnants of units like these. Trolls are going to be very effective. Yeah, just crashing straight through the Elven lines. And they're just gonna beat the Linden Elves to death. Oh, huge amount of trolls left from Dark Elven King. Yeah, those Forland archers just getting evaporated. Same goes for the rest of Engsfitz's units. But again, even mountain trolls are not a cheap unit, which I definitely think showed because Dark Elven King definitely had the fewest amount of troops out of the other goblins, but he also had the most trolls, so that is in fact why. But that is going to be the end of the battle. The elves were unfortunately defeated. Engsfitz getting the most kills on the Elven team. I was not too far behind him, and Lenko was not too far behind me. Looks like all of the kills for the goblins were very even. Looks like Dark Elven King got the most kills, but again, they were all very close. Take a quick look here. But again, this right here, this is unacceptable. For a 1300 Florin unit, you cannot only get 13 kills. That is absolutely unforgivable. That is an unforgivable mistake right there. And I definitely think it cost me dearly in the end there, because I think if I had kept those guys alive longer, I might have been able to defeat Spogus, just because I would have been able to at least harass those archers for a while. But again, the rest of my units did okay. Some units of the Harlandon infantry didn't do too good, but I think this was the unit that instantly routed right in the beginning. My pikemen all did very, very well. And some of my javelins did good, some did not. Again, it was just very unfortunate. I definitely made a lot of mistakes. My Noldoran Guard, though, did a huge amount of work. They got a lot of kills here. Oh, yeah, we can take a quick look at Engsfitz's kills as well. His Noldoran Guard did much better than mine. He's got 166. His archers did quite well. Well, one unit did. His pikemen didn't do bad. Oh, all his marines did good. That's really good play. That's really good plays right here. That's really good plays by him. Yeah, it looks like he did actually have one unit of Forland scouts. That's the cav unit that I was talking about. He had one unit of Long Sword Masters as well. Oh wait. Oh, I was very confused for a second. I thought these were the Noldoran horse lords, but they were the Noldoran Guard. His horse lords actually got 269 kills. So yeah, a very interesting battle, very close. I thought it was a fun one to play. Something else to note though. We actually played this same setup before on the same map, and everything was a 4 versus 4 though, not a 3 versus 3. Before we played that match before this battle, and instead of having 2 Linden armies, I actually had all 4 of the different Elven factions versus 4 units versus 4 Misty Mountains armies. However, I must say that battle was insanely unbalanced. I mean, the money was the same and everything, but just it was not a close battle at all. It was like, I'm talking like 50% to 100%. It was really not close at all. But if you guys would like to see that, go ahead and tell me in the comments below of this video, and I'll be sure to upload it. I think actually the other battle that we did before this actually has a lot of the same players. I think the only difference was that the Misty Mountains players of this battle were the elves of last battle, and vice versa. And we just tried the same type of battle again, except we just didn't have a 4v4 instead of a 3 versus 3. But anyway, that is going to be the end of this video. So if you guys did enjoy it, please comment, like, and subscribe. If you did not, just tell me what I did wrong, and I'll be sure to fix it for the next video. So farewell wherever you fare, till your eyes receive you at your journey's end.